Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I wanted to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I wanted to talk about the new show, or actually, it's not new; it's 3 years old. But Picard, Star Trek Picard, over on Paramount Plus. I've been watching it. I'm in season one right now, so spoilers for season one of Star Trek Picard. And there was something really interesting in it, and I wanted to talk about this from the perspective of the dungeon performer and the perspective of the player character. And one of the things that's really fascinating, this show is excellent. I actually really skipped Star Trek Picard because I really didn't think it was going to be good. I'm like, is this going to be any good? It's phenomenal. It is really, really good. I really fantastically enjoy it, specifically season one, and I would highly recommend you check it out. Right. So there's this thing that happens with Captain Picard, who is no longer Captain Picard. When we start this show, he has retired from Starfleet, and he is no longer a Starfleet captain. He is not a captain of anything, right? He's not even a captain of a ship, right? And so then he goes on this adventure to find Data's daughter, Soji, who is an artificial intelligence. Okay. All right. And so he goes to find Soji and keep Data's daughter safe, right? But what's interesting, and when he begins this, he ends up beginning this adventure, and the reality is he doesn't have a ship, right? So he has to gather together this motley crew, right? And it's fantastic because, like, on the Enterprise he had an amazing ship and he had an amazing crew. Now he has a questionable ship and a very questionable crew, and so the question is, hey, okay, you're a great captain. Can you do something without optimal resources? That's an incredible story, right? And as a dungeon master, you should definitely watch this show because it is an incredible story, and we as dungeon masters should be seeking it, should be making sure that all of the entertainment that we enjoy is useful to helping us build. Like, we watching bad stories, reading bad books, playing bad video games, it's not our privilege anymore. We're tasked by Gary Gygax to build these incredibly immersive worlds, and so we can't do that if we're intaking junk, right? Like, we have to have a diet of quality, right? So this is quality. This is quality narrative, right? But there's this really fascinating thing where Picard is getting this motley crew together, and what they show is that he's showing up on the doorstep of friends, and he has not talked to them in years, right? And he is doing what everybody hates to do, showing up and saying, I need, right? Having neglected these people for years and years and years, and not maintained his relationships, not maintained his friendships, and saying, hey, I'm here, you're my friend, I need, do for me, right? And I think we need to think about this very carefully, both as dungeon performers and as player characters, right? Are we maintaining the relationships that should matter? Recently, I had a friend who I almost never see, and he said, hey, let's get together for dinner. And I was kind of shocked. I didn't really I was like, why? Right? But it turned out to be a very nice meeting. And I have to admit, I'm a lot like Picard. I don't, maintain old relationships. And the reason why is I could barely maintain my current ones, right? Like, I want to give the people I am engaged in friendship with, give them more time. I don't feel like I'm even giving them more time. So somebody that I haven't, seen for years, where do I have the time to give to them, right? It's just, I don't know where people get all this time, right? And so we're going to be in positions where we're showing up to our friends and saying, I need, gimme. And we haven't done anything for them in years, or even talked to them, right? And they show that Picard does this constantly. Like, the whole show is him showing up and saying, hey, I ain't talked to you in 7 years, give me a ship. I ain't seen you in 7 years, give me your life. Well, like, it's incredible, the asks, right? But it's also very interesting because a lot of people do, right? And they're not like, oh, hey, you haven't been around. They're like, bet, done, let's go. And as dungeon performers, this is a very interesting question, right? What does it mean to go back to friends that you haven't seen in years, right? Are we able to ask, right? And what does that mean for player characters as well, right? What does that look like at the table, right? I think we should really think about this very deeply. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. What's important is when I hear your humble opinion. Have you been in this situation? Have you gone back to people years later, right? Either as a player character or as a dungeon performer, right? I'd love to hear. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.